It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig. You decide when you lose, not other people. And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. If you like common sense, hit that thumbs up button and, of course, the subscribe button. And join us Monday through Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollers.locals.com. What's going on, everybody? Hi. Stuttering Craig. Welcome to Thursday, everybody. Man, do we got a good one today. We are, I'll tell you what, we've had a banger of a week here on the show. And today, it may just be the highlight of the week. As, I'll tell you what, I mean, no disrespect, but Blabs is here as always, which makes it a wonderful day. And she's wearing yellow.
Hello. Hi. Chat says I fell in the toilet because we started late. I did not. I was here the entire time.
No, you should have seen right before we went live. She was.
Oh, yeah. Right in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fell in the toilet, huh?
Yeah.
Again?
Sorry. It's just a tripping hazard at this point.
You got to know we're live at 11. It's ridiculous. You always have to go right at 10:59. Why is that, Blabs?
I have problems, I guess. I don't know.
I need to get the toilet emo out, and it'll be good. Now, memers, go crazy with Blabs falling in the toilet. Oh man, we got an excellent group with us today. Joining us for the first time, the wonderful Gothix. Hello, Gothix. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Are you really?
I am.
Okay.
I'm still waking up. You know, I have my beverage, my hot beverage, but I'm really happy to kick it with you guys. You know, I've seen a few of your streams, and it seems like a good time. We
try to have a good time. Sometimes I hold it back, but
don't be too serious.
Yeah, that's right. That's the whole idea. We're talking about video games here.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're glad you're here. Very, very excited. I've actually learned to time out my beverage, my caffeine beverage. I start drinking about 30 minutes before the show, and then it hits me. So I'm timing it out pretty good. I'm learning, getting my rhythm here. It's only taken a year to figure that out. Joining us also today is BX. Hello, BX.
Hi. Thanks for having me at the last minute, guys.
Yeah, we're very excited you're joining us today. We're going down the rabbit hole with you today, huh?
That's what I do.
That's what I do.
So let's do it.
I think it's important. Gothix, how about BX? We're going to come back to you. How about y'all each tell us like a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you? Like Gothix, let's start with you real quick.
Yeah, so the internet calls me a problematic, self-hating, anti-black grifter. So I guess that's who I am, because anything on the internet must be true. Just kidding. Yeah, so my real name is Vanessa. I make commentary, mostly culture commentary, political commentary, spiritual commentary. I originally started as a live streamer on Twitch TV, mostly doing video games and creative, weird improv skits. And then I got pushed into the field that I am now because, you know, if you have opinions on the internet, eventually those opinions will get you canceled. And that's what happened to me.
But here you are. Not so much canceled, which is great, right?
Correct.
Well, if everybody would head over and find Gothix over on YouTube, you can find her over at Gothix TV, and you can do exactly what I'm going to do. Check this out. You scroll your mouse over there and you hit the subscribe button, and that little thing happens, and that's what happens. So everyone go over there and subscribe to Gothix. Also, well, obviously, we have BX. BX, tell everybody about what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so haven't been canceled yet. Luckily, people have tried, but I'm pretty non-problematic, I guess. I am an online investigator. I've been a professional investigator for many years. I started streaming on Twitch just kind of casually several years ago, and then fell down a bunch of rabbit holes regarding, just online investigations. A lot of it pertained to child safety and child predators. I ended up exposing Twitch for this gigantic child predator ring that was operating on its platform that targeted 300,000 kids. Not many people heard about it because they definitely buried the story, but it was a pretty big deal that affected a lot of the changes that you see on Twitch today. I didn't have any part of that. I was just, reporting on what I was seeing and trying to get people to pay attention. And ironically, at the same time that they were, that I was screaming at them about this child predator issue, they were focused on doing, digital summits with DHS and Black Girl Gamers. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, since then I've fallen into a number of weird online rabbit holes. I've done a lot of child advocacy, victim advocacy, and just trying to help shine some light in the dark corners.
And people can follow you over at Twitch. Are you streaming over on Twitch still? Yes, it looks like you just streamed a couple days ago, huh?
Yeah, I do kind of periodically stream, and when I'm just wanting to relax and play video games, but I inevitably end up talking about the current rabbit hole. So it's usually entertaining.
Oh, well, we're going
but Twitter, I think, is my main platform where I throw out information. So if you're an information enjoyer, then check out the Twitter.
Awesome. Over at BX_on_X over on X. X. Look, we're very excited to have you ladies with us today. And we are going to go down the rabbit hole today. So all y'all tuning in, do us a favor, spread the word as we're going to go deep. And you will be shocked at how far this goes, just based off of the singular video that BX sent me yesterday. I was like, there's a lot there. I would like to remind you guys, we are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Join us over there as we approach 6,000 freedom speech loving mother suckers over there at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Join us. You could have found out that Gothix was going to be on the show and BX was going to be on the show simply by following us over at x.com/sidescrollerpod as we grow a little bit more every day. We also have an Instagram account, don't we, Blabs?
We do, so follow us for memes and clips of the show, or else a very big stern talking to.
That didn't sound very threatening.
Well, I'm not very threatening, to be honest. I'm 5'4". I'm like a little hobbit.
Listen,
what am I going to do?
There's nothing more, as a 6'4.5" dude, there's nothing more terrifying than a smaller woman going up and getting.
Why? Because I'm like an ankle biter? What am I going to do? Bite your ankles?
He's like, I can't box you out.
It's because all of the emotions are compressed. So,
so it's like rage, yeah.
Pressurized.
We also have a Kick account over at kick.com/sidescrollers. You can join us over there as we are slowly, as we moved away from Twitch onto Kick, which may not be any better, but either way, you can find us over there at kick.com/sidescrollers. If you like to listen to the show, you can over on Spotify. If you don't want to look at our faces, you can find us over on Spotify, the audio version of the show, as we continue to grow a little bit more every single day. You know what's amazing about that, Blabs? I was thinking about this last night. Our show consistently is, I think that when we have the call to action to say, hey, everyone go to Spotify and 5-star us and rate us and all that whole stuff, I honestly think that we can be the #1 podcast in gaming if we do that. If we make that call, I really do feel that way. So that'd be pretty cool. I really feel that way. But anyways, we'll worry about that later. But if 10 of you today would head over to sidescrollers.locals.com and become a member, we are closing in on, we just started talking about that last month, and the locals community is going great. And Blabs, I didn't even talk to you about this yet, but I have an announcement that I would like to make right now on the show. But before I do that, I have a question for BX and Gothix. Have you ladies seen Lord of the Rings before?
Yes.
No, and I know I'm gonna get.
What?
I know I'm gonna get dragged in the
crazy.
Comments.
Nope,
I think I've
you're
seen
not.
one of them out of order.
Hey, Gothix, welcome to the party. Let's go.
All right.
I have an announcement. I've been getting dragged over the last week by Blabs and the internet for not seeing Lord of the Rings. And I am announcing right now on Wednesday, April 17th, I will be watching Lord of the Rings exclusively on the locals page, a live watch along in the afternoon for the 3 weeks following that. It's going to be Lord of the Rings Wednesday, April 17th, April 24th, and May 1st. I will watch all 3 extended cuts in succession, those consecutive weeks. Blabs, how you feel about that?
Good. I'm actually adding it into our schedule right now, so I can actually make you do it. Because now, once it's in the schedule, it's there and locked in. So.
Once again, we
There's
can't
no
do it
backing out.
No, there's no backing out once it's on the schedule. No. But once again, this is a big deal. A lot of people can give me slack, and I guess we'll get through that first. So that's coming up. You know, plenty of time to take your time off your day jobs to watch Lord of the Rings with me. So join us over there. It's once again only going to be on locals because we can't do this on YouTube. We can't do this on Rumble, but we can do it over on locals. So please head over to sidescrollers.locals.com and sign up over there. If you want to become a member or a supporting member, you can. If not, that's cool too. It's going to be available to everybody. So yes.
I'm proud of you. Good job.
Hey, thanks, Blabs. We all got to take steps, which is good.
Baby steps.
But if you don't want to go over to locals, that's fine. You can always hit the subscribe button over here on YouTube if it's your first time tuning in. Join the 73,000 people who love common sense in the video game and entertainment space. Our goal is 600 likes every single episode. Let's get that rookie number up and get past that 600. The last few shows we've had over 1,000, so I think it's a pretty good mark. And as always, our goal is 25 memberships every single show, and we are off to a rip-roaring start as A.E. Cunningham has become a brand new member to the show. Thank you so much, A.E. Cunningham. Greatly appreciate that. That is spectacular. And the True Doster gifted 5 memberships to the channel. That is outstanding. Thank you very much. If you guys get a gifted membership, make sure you say a thank you and consider paying it forward. As always, I like to start the show with some super chats. And right off the bat, we have some for our guest. Tomak came in first, though. He says, I don't know you, but I have the strength and the courage to hit like that. Hit that like. Hold on. Blabs, read it. My reading is off already today.
Captain-tism at your service. All right, Tomak for $10. I don't know you, but I have the strength and the courage to hit that like for democracy. Because today in the polls,
hit the like.
Yeah.
Hit the like for
the like polls are slightly different today based on Helldivers. Slap the thumbs up button. I'm doing my part. And then for democracy, those are your options.
Thanks, Tomak. Sorry I butchered that right off the bat. Extra Zero says,
he's remedial. It's okay.
Says, when are we getting the real BGG? Blabs Girl Gamers. If you identify as Maza, can you still join?
No. I'm just gamer. That's it.
All right. Sounds good. Dan came in, says, Dear Gothix, feel free to join us all in shaming Craig a little for not having watched Lord of the Rings movie. You can't do that.
Yeah, she's not seen it either.
That is true. I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen one of them. So.
Did you think it was overrated?
No, I was just confused because it was out of order when I watched it. So
at least I don't think it's overrated.
Know the context.
That's good. It's good. Nick Bob says, shout out to my wonderful fiance, Amy. A month ago, she scraped a cat off our street that got hit by a car. $3,200 later, we got a 3-legged cat.
Wow. Well, you saved a life. How about that?
Yeah, good for you, Bob.
And you got a hole in your bank account.
Yeah. All right. Rimdog says, Gothix, after seeing the picture taken besides Jeremy, how tall are you, if you don't mind me asking? Jeremy, I'm assuming D-Day Cobra?
No, the quartering.
Oh, the quartering. Okay.
Yeah. 5'7".
Whatever, tall person.
I think that's average. I don't know.
I'm 5'7" too. I think that
Okay.
is kind of average-ish.
Fine.
Blabs is the shortest on the panel today.
I'm the wee hobbit. It's fine.
60 Watt says, this week's show have been straight fire, as the kids say. I'm crazy hyped for today's episode of Side Scroll Hers. Glad to be here. That's right. Lots of women on the show today. Sorry for assuming your genders.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm sorry. Bad news.
Canceled.
Yeah. Yankee Lover came in and says, reject Marxism, embrace capitalism, and make gaming great again. Thank you, Yankee Lover. Appreciate that. Kyle says, I'm in it for 8 levels. I mean months. Let's go. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that. 60 Watt came back, says, I'll watch it with you, Craig. You have my sword, my bow, and my axe.
He doesn't understand that reference yet, but you will.
No idea what you're talking about. 60. Thomas came in and says, Craig, the word you're looking for is flack. Giving people slack means the exact opposite. Oh, okay. Sorry, Thomas. I'm not really good with words, even though I speak for a living. Ian So Forth came in with 10 gifted memberships. That is spectacular. And I'll tell you what, BX, you get to pick the color today. You get to pick the color that goes on the wall. Which color would you like? Because with 10 gifted memberships or a $50 donation, they go on the wall, which is great. You get to pick the color?
Purple.
Purple. All right, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
He's trying to unzip my shirt. Like
Scandalous.
Oh,
Look how
Wow,
cute
okay.
it is. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. I know she's 2 months old, so she's just a baby. So sorry if she keeps like pouncing on me.
Look at that little beautiful thing. Oh my god, it's cat stream now. Oh my god, look at his belly.
Vlad's over there geeking out. It's awesome. I'm geeking out.
What's
With
his
this.
name?
Look at that, Ian.
Her name is Baby Ruth. The shelter named her. They were all little candy bar names for her litter, but
Aw.
she's like a little rescue kitty.
That's cute.
She's
Baby
pretty cute.
Ruth.
Baby.
My
Ruth.
She's
cat
pretty
doesn't
chill,
like to
but she'll
cuddle.
also she's been like chewing on my cords and stuff. So to like
We're just gonna do a cat stream one day. Not even
Yeah.
talk, just have cats. Kind of like what Marvel's did. Just the cat stream.
I've done a dog stream before. Done dog stream. Went to did a stream where we went to a shelter, and all the money donated went to the shelter. I think we raised like $2,500 that day. It was great.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The Trudeauster says, "Lol, Craig finally has another in the I haven't watched the Lord of the Rings Club. Gothix, great seeing you here as well, and watching your work since 2021."
Appreciate it.
And Methlus says, "Can I get some album recommendations? Just looking for something to listen to." Weird Al, Dare to Be Stupid. How's that? Big fan of Weird Al. Do y'all like Weird Al?
I mean, I'll watch. It's not, I'm not like, I just feel like listening to Weird Al. It's not
Yeah,
really my
it's a Weird
thing.
Al kind of day.
Listen, every day is a Weird Al kind of day in today's society.
Do
which
you
is
just
good.
put Weird Al on just for the sake of it? I feel like listening to Weird Al. Boop.
Why would you not?
Is that your
That seems
workout
like a-
album? Like how? when could it be appropriate? to
Amish
listen?
Paradise.
There you go. We're going to get into some good stuff today, but first, Zim came in and picked up the brand new Side Scrollers All-Stars limited edition shirt. Pick them up right now. There's only, at the start of the stream, there was 53. Now there's 52 of them left. They're available only through April. Pick up your Side Scrollers limited All-Stars limited edition baseball tee. Link is in the description. Only 52 left. Zim, thank you so much. You're my boy. Greatly appreciate that. And Big Top came in with the $10 direct donation. Says, "Hey, yo, hashtag I never should have quit the nail salon." It's a deep cut from yesterday. Blabs, remember that?
Yes.
Thanks, Big Top. Appreciate that. And let us never mention that again. Dude says, "Gothix is on Rumble. Let's go." That's right. That's where you do most of your work, right?
I dual stream on YouTube and Rumble. Yeah, I'm trying to build it on Rumble though, because I just have a thing with YouTube.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm banned from YouTube permanently.
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Yeah,
Are we going
I'm
to get
trying to
banned?
do
'cause
Rumble
you're on?
too. No,
Right.
no, they just nuked my channel. I can get on. I can, yeah.
I was saying,
You're
welcome to
safe.
the party. We're definitely we're counting down the days, which is why it's important for everybody to follow us over on Locals and Rumble, because there will be a day where YouTube's like, nope, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I got banned with no warning or explanation after doing some rabbit holes that I guess got a little too close to the mark, possibly. I don't know. I wasn't even saying anything offensive, so it was very unusual.
Well, we're going to get into those rabbit holes today. JT came in and says, "Watch Gothix Documentary. Well worth the watch." Yeah.
Thank
Gothix,
you.
why don't you talk about that for a little bit? Because you
Yeah.
have this documentary out about you, and it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, you seen it?
You know what? I know I sat down. I don't know if I watched the trailer or the whole thing, if I'm being totally honest, because I maybe I've seen clips of it. Have you put
Yeah.
out clips of it?
Yeah, I put out a bunch of clips of it.
Okay, then I'm pretty sure I've watched the many of the clips then.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. Yeah. So the director is actually in the chat right now. He's been chatting. His name is Graham, and basically, and this ties into the whole Black girl gamers stuff going on. But I essentially got canceled, if you will, and my career was jeopardized because I was saying things online that didn't agree with the public consensus. And so the documentary pretty much just takes you through the journey of what happened from start to finish. What did I say? What was I doing before then? And then how everything came to be what I'm doing right now. So it covers a lot of different topics: identity politics, cancel culture, mental health. I think every single thing that probably anyone, especially content creators, will probably experience in their life. So I think it's really not, and it's weird because whenever I talk about the documentary, it just feels odd because it's about me. But
Right.
I think the message in it is something that anyone can take something from it.
It's a it was a lot. I mean, even the clips that I've seen, it was like, holy shit! Like you went through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like they really went after you hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're definitely going to get into that today. But here you are. You're on the other side of it, and F them, kind of. Well, I guess no. You're nicer than I am. You're very forgiving.
that was a process because for a good year, I was so bitter. I was like, I want these people to burn. And then over a process, I'm just, things happen from the inside. And I'm like, these people are lost. I was lost, maybe not to the degree that they were lost, but these people are blind and they're walking in darkness. They don't know what's going on. And if I can wake up, they can wake up. So that's the way that I look at it, is they just don't know. And I would like to think that there is humanity even in people who act like that. And that's why it's like, I'll say things online, but I don't wish ill will towards people. They can say all they want towards me, but I'm not going to reciprocate it to that degree. I
hear that. I hear that. I think that's very big of you. As opposed to bigoted of you. That's very big of you. I think that's very, very strong of you. And I think for me, most of the time, I've been doing this for a long time, and you see people who, well, I want to hold on. We'll hold on to this conversation because this is going to tie into everything that's going to go on. So let's do this. Let's get into it. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for hard news.
Hard news.
I watch that intro every day, and I'm like, that is so stupid. I love it. Oh, man. Shout out to Yumi in the movies for the wonderful yeehaw at the end. Great stuff right there. All right, ladies. I don't know if you recall. We had a noticeable, you may know this, but we had a noticeable death in not just the video game industry, but American history today, as Joe Lieberman passed away today. And Joe Lieberman he was a congressman, a former presidential candidate. But why I want to talk about him is that he is the guy who had a major influence in the video game industry. As he was one of the main forces behind the early 90s congressional hearings when Mortal Kombat came out, and games like Night Trap, when they were saying these games are too realistic. It's too realistic. Do y'all recall that at all, or am I just too old for y'all?
I've never heard of his name.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived through that period of the, I guess, early 2000s, like late 1990s. Is that kind of the time?
Well, the original hearings were in the I'd say the early to mid 90s when Mortal Kombat 1 first came out.
I remember the Mortal Kombat controversy for sure.
Yes, and these hearings, when that happened, led to the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Rating Board, which is why now whenever you get a game, it has the rated E for everyone, rated T for teen, and that is a direct correlation to Joe Lieberman here. Now, what's interesting here is, he's had this impact in video games, and he actually used Mortal Kombat as this is like, let me just kind of show this example of what the hearings were like. This is very much back in the day, like, oh, think of the children. So here we go.
I want to show you. I want to enjoy inflicting torture. Blood splatters from the contestants' heads. When a player wins, the death sequence begins. The game narrator instructs the player to finish, and I quote, finish his opponent. The player may then choose a method of murder, ranging from ripping the heart out to pulling off the head of the opponent with spinal cord attached.
Pretty awesome.
Classic.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Classic Mortal Kombat. So this was 30 something years ago at this point. And obviously, like I said, there's been a lasting impact on it, the video game industry, because of these hearings. But what's really funny is I didn't connect the dots until I saw this article here. Are y'all big into Mortal Kombat? Did y'all ever play Mortal Kombat growing up at all?
Yeah, I
Oh,
played
yeah.
it. I'm not good at it, but I
Right.
played it.
But what happened after this was Mortal Kombat was directly in the crosshairs of this. And they, like I said, there's Mortal Kombat games like Night Trap, this full motion video. It was a really bad game, but it was like, look at how realistic these games are. So Mortal Kombat countered this actually. And in Mortal Kombat 2, because they saw things that were so violent, they actually countered and released and created the friendship.
I remember that.
Yes, this is awesome. These are friendships from back in the day in Mortal Kombat.
Oh my gosh.
Whereas opposed to killing the people, you would do something nice for them or dance.
That is.
Liu Kang wins. Friendship. Friendship.
You could press the button to choose friendship instead of fatality.
Yeah,
I
you
think.
could trade another
Okay.
input in. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it was awesome. It was just like kind of like an early version of a troll, like a developer trolling. So I just really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. I thought that was really, really fun. So it's just interesting. So anyways, rest in peace, Joe Lieberman. You gave us the Mortal Kombat friendship and all sorts of other things like the ESRB. Congratulations.
I just think it's weird because there were so many other worse games than Mortal Kombat, and that's the one that you highlight.
Yeah.
Like
why do I remember this one where there was like a squirrel who was like a pimp or something?
Oh, you're talking about Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
core
Conker's
memory.
All of a sudden,
Literally a core memory.
You saw Gothix core memory unlock there.
Oh man. Oh yeah. No, I was also thinking of this is pretty grim. Postal. That was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, Postal was and still is pretty anti-PC. Although we had a group called Melee Games on recently, and they kind of exposed the developer them as even they kind of went a little woke recently. And Postal is thought to be like the most anti-PC game out there, and even they have suffered at the hands of the Z woke. So yeah. Anyways, we'll move on. We've talked about this. Blabs, you've been wanted to talk about this for like 3 days now. This is a really big deal for you. This Titanic
Oh.
door.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge deal. I just thought it was a really funny quick hit.
All right. So at the end of Titanic, the James Cameron classic.
Oh, you've seen that one though, have you?
I've seen. Listen,
We just gotta check with you. Sometimes you don't watch classics, so
Blabs.
yes.
Titanic.
And
What? Like it's on TV like every 5 minutes. You
so
can
is Lord of the
scroll
Rings, and yeah, here we are.
Well, good for you. I'm going to be watching Lord of the Rings April 17th, Wednesday over on Local. So find me over there. It'll be great.
20 years later.
Is there anything as iconic in Lord of the Rings as the door?
You would think the necklace that she drops.
Yeah.
That would be something. Not the
Is it called the
door.
Heart
Who
of the
wants to
Ocean?
buy a door?
What are you gonna do with the door?
Well,
Frame it, hang it on the wall,
yeah, you
reenact it in the bathtub, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I get like
float on
some
it?
wax like figures of Kate Winslet and Leo and see if they'll fit on it.
just
Yeah.
be Leo's
Prove
hand,
it to the world.
just Leo's hand up underneath the water. It's really-
So grim.
It's like the hand from Adam's Family.
well, anyways, yeah. It went up for auction a couple days ago, and it sold. The door from Titanic that Kate Winslet survived on. I always like to play the Price is Right game. So BX, how much do you think the door from Titanic sold for at auction?
$1 million.
Oh, wow, you have a high evaluation of doors.
Just
Gothix?
craftsmanship.
You seem like you're really thinking about this.
500,000.
I went over.
Well, Gothix is going to win, closest if we're going Price is Right style, but you can be met in the middle as it sold at over $700,000 at auction for a door from Titanic the movie. Just absolutely insane. And here it is right here. Just I'm not going to sign in and create an account for the high res option, but there it is. It's got gashes in it and stuff. It looks like it's actually kind of made of real wood, which is interesting. So I don't know. It's like you're looking at. It probably has water damage.
It looks like you can still make an offer for 898,000. Any takers?
Well, to the owner, if anybody has 900K laying around, So here's the scene right there. You can see it as anyways, and there's the bottom of it. It is, oh, look at that. You can actually see you can see the door, and it has the actual proof that it was there. So anyways, yeah, Blabs, you got anything on that?
No, but there was also another item that sold, Indiana Jones's whip, but I can't remember. I think it was $500,000 that sold.
That's way cooler.
Indiana Jones's whip from one of the movies. I think it was Temple of Doom that sold. I would rather spend on the whip. I'm just saying.
You could use the whip, I mean, I guess technically you could use the door, but
can we just frame the door and put it in my doorway and be like, yeah.
Wouldn't be super great. Yes, it'd be a very, very not effective door.
No, especially since there's holes and stuff in it.
Yes. Let's go to another quick hit here. One of the hottest games out right now is Helldivers 2. Blabs, you want to talk about this story for a second?
Yeah, so I don't know if you chat. Let me know if you've been playing Helldivers or not. If you have, you'll understand the poll. However, a player seems to have passed away, and he was a very beloved player in the community. And one of his friends posted on Reddit saying, "My friend has passed away. Is there any way we can do a tribute?" And so this thread has over 43,800 upvotes, and lots of people responding, saying with salutes and well wishes to his friends because this man has sadly passed away. And they asked the developers if they could have this user's information, like all of his stats and everything, so they could do like a commemoration or like a little tribute for him. And the developers have said, yes, absolutely, let's make it so. And so I think it's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful that these developers are going out of the way for just a random user. They don't even know who he is, or who he was, I should say. And they're just doing a lovely tribute for everybody. And like, seen as developers and gamers, or like the gaming industry is just taking a massive shit all over, just having fun and gaming. I think this is like a nice little positive spin that for once, hey, these are actually human beings not acting like assholes. So I think it's just beautiful. And sorry to the man who lost his life, but at least you have a beautiful tribute on Helldivers too.
We've seen over the last month, there's like this ongoing battle between video game developers, press, and then ultimately gamers. But Helldivers has done pretty much everything right during this situation. Even before the game was released, saying, the lead of the game was saying, hey, don't buy our game right now because our servers can't handle this. We'll let you know. We just want to make sure you have a good experience when you buy the game. I think that's, they've really handled this entire month or so since their release with a lot of grace, and they've done it right, and they've just made a fun game that people, I just want to shoot bugs, man. That's it. And they've done a really good job with it. So, and
like, they've said no to all this like agendas going inside the games, like, oh, we need the gay flags and things like that. Like, this is a game about killing bugs and automatons. Why do you need the pride flag? Like, I don't understand. It's for democracy. So yeah, they've basically been just swatting away, and then you have like, oh no, we're gonna keep friendly fire. You guys can kill each other. It'd be really funny. Like, they're just making this a fun game for the gamers. And so I think that's absolutely amazing that they're doing all this stuff. So shout out to the devs at Arrowhead, I believe it is.
And they got their gamers in their in their minds, which is great.
Yeah,
they're listening to their community.
That's rare.
Very, very cool. Let's go to Twitch really quick. We saw Twitch make a pretty big change yesterday, as they said you can no longer stream what they say prolong parts of your body, Blabs.
Intimate parts of your body.
Yeah. So we saw Gothix BX. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you're into this, but
totally into it.
What's that, BX?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes, very much so.
You've seen women who have been wearing green screen. They've been green screening their pants out and playing Fortnite on their butt. There have been the avatars, the VTubers who have chroma keyed out their chest to play Fortnite on their chest or Call of Duty on their chest. And so yesterday, Twitch came out and was like, no, we're not going to allow this anymore. You can't have prolonged shots on your anatomy, right? But that sure hasn't stopped some people, as these Twitch ethos continue to evolve and continue to outsmart everybody. What's that? The old meme of the guy going like, you know, and that's what we have here as the Twitch meta continues to evolve over from X, as this girl has created. I don't even know if I can show this on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't think you
The
can.
butt?
No. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
How do I search it?
Pretty spicy.
Well, I'm going to show it anyways. YouTube.
Okay.
We'll
5
edit it
seconds,
out.
I
Here
guess.
we go.
We'll blur it. She has a chair, a see-through chair, and there's a full collection of streams. And this is content. This is content right here. So I don't know if she's playing video games or not, but
Good for her.
I mean,
Look at Gothix.
Like, I thought that the green screen pants was actually pretty creative. I was like, that's actually like, that's a new one. They really thought hard about that. But this one is a little bit, yeah, she's pushing it. Like, you know, I think that most of the time they're doing it for the negative backlash. And they're expecting people to like really get, you know, so they make more money. Even if they get banned by Twitch, they make so much money off of the attention that it's worth it for them.
Yeah, they don't. It's, I always say that Twitch went downhill when they introduced just chatting as a category. And I love just chatting, just sitting there talking with my audience. But then people just push the boundaries. And it's like, why wouldn't you just go do this on an adult site? I don't agree with that content anyway, if we're going to call it that. I don't agree with it. But they're not going to that site because they like the outrage. It helps them, boost them up. They get money. And I don't know, it's just kind of sick, especially because Twitch is ages 13 and up. And it's like, you are potentially exposing that to kids. And I know some people will probably say, well, you know, you should be watching your child. It's like, that's not realistic. You know,
Right.
I just think that
People who don't have kids say that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I actually started a petition on Twitch, a user voice petition to increase that age. It's been there for a really long time. But yeah, I strongly believe that they should increase the age to at least 16 to stream at the very least. I mean, it's not just 13-year-olds can watch it. 13-year-olds can stream themselves, and there's no safety measures in place to make sure that they're not repeating those kinds of metas. You could have a 14-year-old doing something like that. That's a really big problem, and there's really nothing to stop that or to stop people from preying on those kids who are streaming. So yeah, so at least for streaming, like that should be 18. I don't understand how kids are allowed to get on a camera and engage with the public like that.
Well, I'll say this. You know, it's funny. We talked about this yesterday, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You know, we talked about the minimum age of kids. You know, Twitch is obviously a form of social media. YouTube is a form of social media. We traditionally think of social media as X and Facebook, but YouTube and Twitch are forms of social media. What are your thoughts on the Florida, quote unquote, banning of social media for kids who are under the age of, I believe, under the age of, is it 16 or was it 13? Whatever it was, they raised it.
14 or something.
Yeah, I think maybe it was 14. Did y'all see that story the last couple of days?
No, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's kind of my wheelhouse. So like pay pretty close attention to all of that. You know, there's like a fine line where I think the Florida ruling is good because, you know, I think that kids that age should have to have like parental oversight. Like a parent needs to own that account and manage it. So I'm totally for that. Even though, you know, the thing is people act like, well, they're a private business and they need to make their own decisions, but they won't. They will not. And the number of child predators and pedophiles on these platforms is so egregious. Like it's unbelievable. If you are a kid on the internet, you are getting targeted by predators all the time. It's not like it could happen to you. It's like it is happening every single time, which is what we saw on Twitch before, you know, they implemented a lot of these safety measures that were kind of, I don't know. I don't think that they did a very good job of rolling those out. They could have been better about it, but yeah. So, I mean, I support that because I don't think that it takes rights away from normal people, because the alternative is like allowing the government to step in and you know, scrape data or ask them to like report certain things or have like more monitoring and surveillance and oversight of the landscape, which I don't support. But, you know, getting kids off social media is like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, it's terrible for them.
So how are they monitoring that? Like, if they say kids aren't allowed on social media, like how are they verifying that a kid is trying to access social media?
Well, Twitch has, so, so with Twitch, they're still allowing 13 and up. But the problem that we were seeing was, I mean, these kids weren't 13. They were like 8.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding you. They were so young. So when we would see kids that young, it used to take us forever to report them and get them banned. But now Twitch partnered with the regulatory body in the UK called Ofcom to implement an AI moderation tool. And now the AI flags kids that are under 13. I don't know how it does it, but like they're like, as soon as you see it, it's gone. So like they've actually gotten pretty good at banning the under 13s.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of undecided about this whole Florida bill because I think that there is a slippery slope of like, okay, what other qualifications will you look at to say you are not allowed to use social media, or you're not allowed to use it? You know, I'm worried about it evolving into a monster.
The overreach.
When I was younger, my mom had me on parental controls back on the AOL days. And I was online for an hour a day. It would boot me off. I wasn't allowed to go on certain websites. I had to ask permission. So there are apps out there for parents to take control if they actually want to be more involved in raising their kids right. I don't know. There's something odd about the government sort of like trying to raise kids, you know? So I'm kind of on the fence about that whole law.
No, I hear that.
Agree that there's a lot of like really, really good apps these days that parents can use. And I think that there's a lack of, I call it a lack of literacy, like tech literacy. Like a lot of parents just don't know. They don't know. They don't understand the internet. I think that this is probably going to be a problem that gets better because as as people get older, they're going to understand the internet more. But a lot of parents really just do not have any idea that their kids can grab their phone or a phone in their room at night, press a button, and they're live on the internet. Like, it's not like we're talking about 8-year-olds who have cam setups and microphones. Like you can tell that they've just grabbed someone's phone and pressed the button, which is, I definitely can see why, we should like push for more safety requirements. The thing I say about the parents is like, just because kids have a shitty parent, which might be the case, right? They're still a child victim. And so it's a multifaceted issue where you need to have big tech doing things as well to help kids. You can't just rely on the parents, unfortunately. You still have to take care of the kids who don't have parents watching over them,
Sure.
I think the idea of like parents need to parent is very valid, but at a certain point, parents need to educate their kids as well as to why they're taking those steps, right? I have a 12-year-old daughter, right? And we've had the conversation. My wife is like, well, we need to know when she gets to, when she walks to school, that she gets there, or when she whatever, and I understand that sentiment, right? But at the same time, when you give them access to this technology, I've said this many, many times on the show, it's the toothpaste coming out of the toothpaste holder, and it's very hard to put that toothpaste back in. That's one thing. You can put parental locks on a phone, you can put parental locks on an app, on a whatever, but there's always the friend who doesn't have those, right? Yes. So you have to teach your kid, teach your kids why it's important, and be honest with them. Like, I'm very honest with my kids. Look, there's things out there that you could have access to, and there's people out there who are bad. There are just really bad people who want to take advantage of you and your ignorance. And you may think you know a lot, but you don't. And let me tell you why,
that's definitely a huge thing I always advocate for, because, just because you watch your kid like a hawk doesn't mean that they're going to be watched like a hawk at school with their friends, at their friends' houses. Same thing I used to tell people with gun safety, right? Well, we don't have guns. I don't need to teach my kid gun safety, but you don't know when your kid might encounter a gun, right? They might have it anywhere. So you have to teach your kids why these things are scary. And I think that people really underestimate the extent to which the stranger danger has evolved from like the guy in the white van offering the kid candy to people online who may never actually physically contact your kid can still victimize your kid. And those people are going to do it by pretending to be their friends, by grooming them. And so, like for me, I mean, my daughter's only 6, but we've already talked about how people can trick her. People might try to trick you into thinking they're your friend. And bad guys don't have to look like bad guys either. They can look like anybody, right?
Right. Well, it's, and it goes back to, And here's the new meta on Twitch. There it is. We'll just bring it back to the story. Oh man! All right, let's move on because I feel like we could do 2 hours on that topic easy.
Yeah, totally.
In the interest of staying on task, I think we'll move on. But first, I want to say Crucifix came in with a $50 super chat. Blabs, please read that off as I put Crucifix on the wall.
All right. Joe Lieberman died. No wonder food tastes better and the birds are singing. Don't forget Joe successfully helped games get rated, but also wrong with Al Gore is why we have the parental advisory on music. Kind of started with PC pandering. Thank you very much, Crucifix. Craig didn't say look at it. He just didn't even say it. Wow.
I didn't want to interrupt you. Look at it.
That's better.
There you go. Thank you, Crucifix. Greatly appreciate that. That is massive and genuinely appreciated. Also, 21 Palika came in and gifted the membership to the channel. That's awesome. Kratos came in with the $10 direct donation. It says, for the Lord of the Rings watch along, I'll get you timestamps when all the memes come up because it's important to me that you not only watch the movies, but learn the pop culture around it as well. Thank you, Kratos. Appreciate that. Delta came in with the $5 direct donation. Says, cool to see Gothix on. Been vaguely following her for 2 years now. Her and Mugen Lord, or Mugen. How do you say, is it Mugen or Mugen? Does anybody know? Mugen? I say Mugen. Her and Mugen Lord get called some heinous shit since speaking their minds on topics like quote unquote social justice and how companies monetize it. Thank you, Delta. SI came in with a $15 direct donation. Says, great daily podcast. Keep up the top content and guest. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We will continue to do so live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time, growing every day, which is great. It's a good reminder to say that if you are new to the channel, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button. We'd love to see you guys tomorrow. And hit the thumbs up button. Helps with the algorithm. And keep on chatting in the chat. Speaking of chat in the chat, there's going to be lots of conversation about this, as we touched on this briefly yesterday, but we wanted to hold off on this conversation until we had Gothix on to really dig into this deep. Gothix like, oh, it's my turn. And let's talk about this Black Girl Gamers group. Okay, this came down yesterday. We'll go to Grummz. Grummz's tweet about this. Says SBI style, Sweet Baby Inc. style consulting company at Black Girl Gamers threatens legal action over that Park Place gaming website over, quote, defamatory allegations. They go on to say they'll pursue legal action against anyone who links to that Park Place's article or spreads it in any manner. I think we're going to hear something about that here in the next couple of days. Let me just kind of say that. I have my ear to the ground on some of this stuff, and we will have an update on that. But going back to the tweet from Black Girl Gamers, they talk about it at length, and they said, contrary to the allegations in the article, Black Girl Gamers has contracted freelancers of all races, genders, sexual orientations, religions, and ethnic backgrounds. We've also included representation of all genders and backgrounds in our content, at our events, and our marketing, consulting, and research projects, some of which are not publicly disclosed due to NDAs. Evidence demonstrating our commitment to diversity and inclusion, including our non-discriminatory hiring practices, is readily available and easily searchable. Upon discovering these false and defamatory allegations, we have taken steps to obtain legal counsel to take action against the publication and journalist, as well as subsequent content creators who have reshared the false allegations about our organization. We will continue to pursue action against anyone who persists in spreading false and defamatory information about Black Girl Gamers, its founder, and its contractors and partners. We value the talent, and contributions of all our collaborators, and we are committed to doing so. Thank you to our community for the ongoing support. So that was trending yesterday. Gothix, you look less than impressed with that response.
It's bro. So first of all, I didn't even know that was all that was going down because I'm literally blocked everywhere, and the majority of their community members have me blocked because they were, like I said, they were a part of my wake up moment. And so just for context, because I think a lot of people are misinterpreting my statement, I was recruited to be a part of their community, and I collaborated on content for like their Twitch channels. I was a part of their Twitch stream team, but I was not hired as far as their gaming consulting firm, because back then it didn't actually exist. They were still laying the groundwork for what it is now. So the idea is they get a bunch of black faces and then they match these black faces with companies that they think would work together on certain campaigns. So that's my whole involvement with them. And long story short, like just the premise of them claiming that they're about diversity and it's a safe space. They literally say it on their website. We have a community of 10,000 Black LGBTQIA people, and this is a safe space. The second you say something that doesn't align with their groupthink, you are no longer allowed in this community. So I'm just wondering, what is it about diversity that, like, what is their diversity? Because if it's just diversity of skin color, then that's pointless. You know, where's the diversity of thought there? And so yeah, they're full of crap. I read the article on that thing that Grummz retweeted. I don't see anything wrong with what was being reported. You're literally repeating the things that the founder was saying in various interviews. So what's wrong about it? Like, if you don't want to make your company or your organization look bad, then maybe you should be a little bit more cognizant about the things that you say during interviews, because this is from your mouth.
Well, so let's go to your tweet yesterday, and I have a lot of questions here. I think there's some background that needs to be shared here, and so I'm really intrigued by this. So I'll tell you, I'll let you read this in your voice, because I don't like reading other people's tweets in my voice.
Okay.
So fire away.
Can I pick a voice?
Yes, whatever voice you like.
As a former Black Girl Gamer member, I can confidently say these people are full of crap. They do not care about diversity. They promptly kicked me out for being anti-black, aka not making an idol out of my skin color, and refusing to hate white people.
Can we have you on regularly just so you can do that? Just so you
I
can
thought
What
that
was that? What was that accent? What was that?
It was British and maybe, you know, infomercial kind of. Yeah.
But you continue.
Yeah, I continue. I was harassed for months after the fact and received an onslaught of vitriol from many of their black members. You know how BGG responded? They blocked me and literally scrubbed my existence off of that platform. Let me just take a quick break for a second, because that is something also that when I was getting a lot of backlash from their community members, I was wondering, when are they going to step in? Because if you're claiming that this is a safe space for black people, I would assume there's going to be some type of mediator there to bring the community members aside and say, hey, let's like try to, you know, reason together and not try to eat each other alive. No, instead, they took the side of the correct black people who were saying the correct black things and
What does
kicked
that
me
mean?
out. I have no idea. Like,
What
if
does that mean to be correctly black?
I have no idea. Like, if you go on Twitter right now, or X, I'm sorry. If you go on X and you type in Gothix TV anti-black, that has been the majority of responses the last 24 hours of people calling me anti-black. What are you talking about? What is that metric? Like, is there a standard of blackness that I should be following, or are you guys just making this stuff up along the way? And this is the problem when people, as I said in this tweet, make skin color into an idol. They worship their skin color and they think that that's their identity, and then they have to make up all these weird rules and regulations about what it means to be black. I don't even know what that means.
So yeah, Gothix TV anti-black. Yeah, you're kind of giving off that anti-black vibe.
I'm the Little Mermaid now.
You're definitely anti-black.
So the header is one of my favorite memes, because again, the irony is that members of Black Girl Gamers tried to go after me because I asked Twitter, I said, hey, why are you calling people racist for questioning why Disney is making The Little Mermaid black? And I got called anti-black for asking that very reasonable question. And so that meme, what's wrong about the meme? I mean, it's correct. You took a white character, you made the character black, and so yes, that person is the new Ariel now. I think it's funny. I think it's a joke. Yeah, so I don't see what's anti-black about it.
Well, let's back up. Let's back up to the start of this.
Okay.
When did they first approach you? Like, give me a time frame.
This was, I want to say this is 2019, probably the beginning of 2019, I want to say. I think it was a little bit before I got partnered, which was like in February of 2019.
Okay,
And
so
then-
2019, they reach out to you. What type of organization are they? Is this just like a ragtag group of friends,
Yeah.
or is
So
this
it was really small when I started. Like, I think maybe they had 4,000 or 5,000 Discord members at the time. They had a Twitch stream. We would meet each other at TwitchCon. So it was very small compared to the entity that it is now. And so we would have collaborations, like I would stream on their Twitch page. We would do interviews with each other. We'd be in Discord calls. And that was pretty much the extent of my involvement. And everything was fine until I noticed some of the members were publicly bashing me for saying things that were quote unquote anti-Black. And so that's really where it started, is like, you guys are saying this is a safe space and I don't feel safe here. So I'm confusion.
So your tweet, you said they do not care about diversity. What do you mean by that?
They don't care about diversity that matters. Like if I make a space, well, first of all, if you make any space and you say this is a space for Black women, then you have no right to complain if the whites make a space for white women. You call that racist, but this isn't racist. It doesn't make any sense. Now, to be fair, and I mentioned this in my tweet, I briefly believed the lie that it would be harder for me to grow as a Twitch streamer because of my skin color, because I had these people in my ear telling me this. And I said, well, I'm looking at your numbers. Your numbers aren't that great. So maybe there is truth to this. I'm a new streamer, so let me join your community. And like I said, everything was going fine until they kind of, started going after me. So unless it's diversity of thought, I don't see the point of promoting diversity. And the things that they're advocating for anyway on their site doesn't make any sense. And this is something that's very common with these diversity and inclusion programs and organizations, is they constantly contradict themselves. How can you say you have a space for Black women, but then say you also include trans women in there? Which one is it? Is it men or is it women? I'm confused.
When did they see, the last 4 years or so in our country, we've seen, obviously in 2020 was a big, line of demarcation for a lot of people, right? And I think 2020, just between COVID and the BLM stuff, in the gaming space, we saw a tremendous, social push where people, you got to make your avatar on X or on Twitter Black, and if you don't, you're a racist, and silence is violence. And do you think? I mean, I think this is obviously a dumb question, but do you think that they benefited from that time period?
Oh my goodness, yes. Like I was looking at my timeline and. It was kind of like, it was sickening to see. First of all, during the whole Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, 2020, I was getting a bunch of followers on social media. I wasn't really making content. Like I took a break and I was getting a bunch of followers because I was Black. That was literally the only reason, because the narrative is amplify Black voices, support Black voices. But a lot of these people, and I think Black Girl Gamers was one of those, they capitalized on the momentum of Black Lives Matter. Because now, I mean, this is an entirely new-ish market of just like consulting with companies to push your Marxist propaganda. Because really, that's what it comes down to when you talk about like diversity, inclusion, and tolerance, and equity, and that's Marxism. And but yeah, I was seeing a lot of the people that were coming after me were all of a sudden getting partnered, and it's like, I know you didn't reach the requirements on Twitch to get partnership. I know for a fact. Here's another funny part. So a lot of the members from this group went after my sponsors that I had. I had 2 existing partnerships, and I ended up breaking contracts with them. But then they brought my harassers in. They signed them, and I'm like, what is going on? I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. So it's really like they'll go online, they'll screech about like anti-Blackness and how outraged they are, but really it's just a self-serving journey that they're on, because they just want to make themselves feel good. They want to make themselves feel like a good person for screeching about, intolerance and bigotry, I guess.
So speaking of intolerance and bigotry, in your time in Black Girl Gamers, did you ever hear any anti-white rhetoric where they would talk bad things that if somebody said that about something a Latino or somebody who's Black, that would be considered racist? Did you ever hear anything like that?
I mean, all the time. I mean, a lot of the people questioned why I had my opinions because they thought I was dating a white man, which is very odd because they had white people in their Discord, by the way. Like, and this is interesting because, like, if you really think about it, our racial identity, like our skin color, that's sort of on a spectrum, you know, like you can have a white dad and a Black mom and still come out very light. So it's really like these things don't actually mean anything. But, yeah, they would make statements like that. And then I remember one time I had tweeted on a thread and I saw a lot of the girls from this community calling someone out for making a mockery of Black women. And the video in question was an Asian person acting very ghetto, acting ratchet. And I said, well, how is this associated? Like, how can you say they're making a mockery of Black women? Are you taking ownership of that particular behavior? And they called me anti-Black. So it was like, it was always in the conversation. It was embedded in a lot of things. And it's like, there is definitely a very hive mind group think within that community.
But that group think appears to be, now, in your experience, this group, you said they've worked with publishers. Like, what type of consulting do they do? Do they go in? They have these events where I guess they speak about this stuff, right? Number one, did you ever speak at any of those events, or did you mostly spend time?
Like I said, at the time, Black Girl Gamers was not to what it is right now. They were like laying the groundwork, and it was mostly consulting. That's when they like sort of just started their YouTube channel. It wasn't to what it is now. So all of this other stuff about like them actually working with like Forspoken, that wasn't a thing a couple of years ago.
What year was that you were in there?
It was like 2019, I think. Okay. Yeah.
You said that they were a big part of your awakening. What do you mean by that? Just seeing this, you said you said that you said things that they deemed were anti-Black.
Yeah. I mean,
and you said that was kind of an awakening for you?
Yeah, I mean, you make friends with people, and I'm sure other content creators of all skin colors can relate to this. You make friends with other content creators and you think you're cool, right? And then they just turn on you because everyone is out for themselves. And so, yeah, all I got was no conversation. It was just people subtweeting me, making videos about me, going on podcasts, talking about me. It was like, let's tear down this anti-Black woman and not actually explain what the crime is that she committed. You saying that I'm anti-Black means absolutely no sense. It's actually comical at this point. Like, people are still saying this about me. I'm like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. But that was my wake-up moment. It was realizing that this type of diversity and inclusive stuff is nonsense because they don't actually care about the things that they're espousing. I mean, just look at my tweet. Look at all the nasty comments that I'm getting. And you guys seem to think about, you care about diversity and inclusion. You don't.
And I said, as you're a better person than me, but you said that you held a lot of resentment for about a year.
Yeah.
This and this is you with the this picture is you with J-Ann, and she is the founder of this group.
Yeah. That was at one of, I forgot which TwitchCon that was, but like and again, it sort of goes back to the reality that content creators, like, I have this thing where I have a hard time making friends with other creators because of this reason. Like, I would go to TwitchCon and I would just get swarmed with people from Black Girl Gamers. The Cookout was another like partnered community that they have. I don't think that one exists anymore, but they like swarm me. Can I take a picture with you? Can I take, oh, you're so great. We love you. The second I say something wrong, it's like a hive. They create this narrative. It's a cult.
Sounds like a cult. I was literally just going to say that.
It's a cult.
So have you had any contact with with the group Black Girl Gamers at all in the last since you left? Well, I guess first off, when did you leave?
I don't even remember. Graham, the director of the documentary, he knows more about my timeline than I do because he spent 3 years editing this film. But he is telling me that that photo would have been from TwitchCon 2018. So my dates are mixed up.
Okay.
I don't even remember. It was before 2020 that I parted ways. That's for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any specific examples of the ways that they harassed you after you left?
It was just mostly, well, first of all, Twitch, I don't know if they changed their terms of service, but Twitch had this thing where they said that you're not allowed to basically start arguments or talk crap about other streamers, even on other platforms. And they were doing all of that. I had people literally making threads about me talking about voting for Trump like years after the fact. And like there was no like holding people accountable or anything like that. Like I contacted Twitch, hey, can you do something? These people are talking bad about me on Twitter. They're talking bad about me live on your platform and you guys are doing nothing about it. So it was just a bunch of a combination of tweets, reaching out to my sponsors, live streams. Most of them, I think, ended up getting deleted. So I don't really have much of that, but there are some like tweets that are shown in the documentary. But yeah, I mean, it was just a combination of a bunch of stuff.
And so at this point, you know, you have that tweet where you say like, you know, you don't hate anybody from the group, and you've kind of gotten through your angst. How did that happen? Just working through it personally, or what?
I mean, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's because of God. and if it wasn't, I would still be a miserable, bitter human being. And, you know, I just want everyone to know watching this, I don't hate you. You know, you may hate me for my opinions. I do not hate you. I want you to wake up, man, because like what you're doing is not going to end well. I mean, clearly you guys created this entity for diversity and inclusion. It's a safe space. And look at the fruits of that. You know, if it was actually something that was worth pursuing, I think it would show in your work, but you've just pissed off a lot of people. But I don't want them to get treated in the same way that I got treated. Like, I wish someone would have advocated for me, because that's the other part of it too, is like, I was trying to get other members to come forward and say, I cannot be the only person that this is happening to. I cannot be the only black face in this group that has these opinions. Like, will someone else speak out? And no one would, at least to my knowledge. So it's like, I just want them to learn. And I don't think, you know, cancel culture, and I don't believe in that, and dragging people's name and whatever. I just want them to wake up. You know, I love them. I care about them. I have no ill will towards them. And yeah, that's about it, man. But yeah, it was God softening my heart, because let me tell you, for a whole year, I was bitter and I was like, I want the worst for these people. But now I don't anymore.
Say time heals all wounds, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you sharing all that. I mean, that's a lot. And I think it really provides interesting perspective on, you know, look, dude, white guy, you know, like you just see these groups. And it's funny because after I put a tweet out after all this kind of went down the other day, and I just more or less to the effect of like, how insane. I said, this is insanity. Yeah. Let me pull this up really quick. I said, this is insanity. What if someone was to register whiteboygamers.com? That'd be ridiculous. I actually registered that.
Is it registered?
Yeah, I registered that actually.
No, you did not. Did you?
And
Oh my gosh.
I encourage everyone to go to
Definitely on a watch list
whiteboygamers.com and see where it takes you, which is great. I also registered muslimgirlgamers.com for the sake of diversity.
Stop
as well.
it. You did not.
Oh my gosh.
I did. And Blaz, didn't I register another domain yesterday as well?
Yeah, it was the white girl gamer, because I felt left out.
Yeah.
Now I get one for me too.
That's hilarious.
So I'm just doing it for the sake of diversity and making sure that all sexes and races feel represented with a proper domain.
Gross. Just gross.
I know, it's stupid as shit. It's stupid as shit. It's ridiculous, and that's the whole idea. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Gothix, for that. That
Yeah.
was very.
Sorry for
very-
ranting. I was not expecting that tweet to blow up. I was just, stating my piece. But if people got questions, I got answers.
Yeah, and I think it's important. And if anybody else has any questions, I mean, fire them away in the chat. Maybe we can get to them towards the end of the show. But I do want to move on to this other thing that came down yesterday. Is look, the video game industry over the last month has been just on fire, right? It's been triggered. It's all about, like, I think that what we're seeing right now is just absolute bullshit insanity, right? And you see this reaction from one side and the other side. Well, these people said this and these people said this. And then you see the head of marketing for Microsoft come out. I don't know if y'all saw this tweet yesterday, but the head of marketing for Microsoft came out and said, raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. No hate to white dudes, just another day in the gaming industry that minorities have to fight to prove they exist. You're literally rolling your eyes.
I can't. My body can't take it.
She's right. It's a cult, right?
It's a
cult. There's love bombing that happens when you post stuff like that.
Yes.
In their communities, because they're in an echo chamber, right? They're shielded. They're blocking anybody who trolls them. And so when they post stuff like this, they're getting constant validation for it. And as soon as they say something, or as soon as something clicks in their head, or they're given information that goes, maybe I need to rethink, what I'm saying here, they're ostracized and completely canceled. So they see it happen to other people. Like, it's very much like a cult, like she said.
Like, I do genuinely believe some people believe the things that they say, but I think for the most part, there's this level of social pressure where, especially as a content creator, if you don't get attention, you don't get paid. And so if you know that you saying this type of stuff is going to get eyes on your content, then you're going to say it.
Right. Well, she is not a content creator. She is the head of marketing for one of the biggest companies in the world. And she then went out and deleted the tweet and said, I deleted my last tweet because it was poorly worded, lacked context, and didn't accurately reflect how I feel. The gaming industry is incredibly diverse, and the more voices we have creating, watching, and playing games, the better. There's room for everyone.
See, now she messed up because she should have just now everyone hates her.
Yep.
She should stay in her bubble.
Well, I just wanted to debunk her entire thing because she was like, we're in the minority. But if you look up the stats, gamers by region, Asia is the number one gamers in the world. And what are they? Asian, not white people. So, oops, she messed up.
So to continue the idea that they want to stay in their bubble, she has gone into hibernation as she's locked her X account. Once again, global games marketing. It's just crazy. And this really goes back to, I said this the other day, and I stand by this statement. It's always white women. It's always white women.
Hey, we're so discriminated against, man. Everyone hates us.
Liberal women? I don't know. I mean, like, you're right. It's these bubbles that it's always out of San Francisco, it's always out of Portland, it's always out of LA, it's always out of New York, right? And they totally just have disregard for the rest of the country and the world who isn't living in those bubbles. And it's really, really pretty insane to watch, even to the point to where Elon Musk has chimed in and says it should not be acceptable for any company in the gaming industry to be racist and sexist against, quote, white guys. And, I simply responded with, or any guys and girls, right? Which seems like a pretty basic statement. I feel like at this point, Martin Luther King is probably rolling over in his grave, seeing what's going on right now. It's just absolutely insane, insane. But BX, you think that this actually goes a lot deeper than you think there's a larger rabbit hole here. And I would love for you to kind of talk about this.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a larger rabbit hole. So once I saw like this Gamergate situation start to take off, I was laughing because I kind of was trying to expose this last year, I think around like May or so, when I stumbled upon this rabbit hole where I realized that a lot of these organizations, and I'm just going to be real clear up front, I'm not alleging that this specifically applies to Black Girl Gamers or any of these other places, because I don't really know. However, I do know that there is a lot of these types of consulting firms and a lot of these types of communities that are actually LARPing as Twitch communities, when in reality they're part of the counterterrorism apparatus for the U.S. government. Not just the U.S. government, but all of our Five Eye allies as well. U.S., UK, Canada, etc. So yeah, I had stumbled upon this rabbit hole when I was investigating the Department of Homeland Security TVTP grant program. It's the Targeted Violence Terrorism Prevention Grant. So this is a grant that Congress funds every year for DHS to give to NGOs to push out various initiatives under the guise of counterterrorism. And the funniest part about it is that well, it's not, none of it's funny, but let's keep it light, because this whole rabbit hole can get pretty dark, right?
Yeah.
Is that there really is a problem with terrorism. There are terrorists that have set their sights on Western kids and have used video games to prey on them. And I'm dealing with one of those right now, the 764 child exploitation cult, which is just insane. But it's a good example of how these terrorists have infiltrated video game communities and used them to target your kids. So that's real. However, this grant, it's been criticized pretty much forever as just being a continuation of the war on terror, which, as you know, is just the government's way of justifying, expanded surveillance and authority. And it's also it doesn't have enough oversight. And so what happens is that these people, these departments and these academia circles, they'll draft these grant proposals, and the grant proposal is like, hey, we're going to prevent terrorism by adding DEI initiatives onto Twitch. And they don't really, it's like it goes from A to Z with nothing in between. Really, like, how are you going to do that, right? And so this whole program is supposed to be about countering terrorism, but it ends up being just political agendas that people have written a grant and they've stamped it and approved it. And now you have all of these organizations that are being funded by DHS, and it's really sneaky. And so what I discovered, I think it was like in May of last year when I was going down the TVTP rabbit hole, which has also targeted incels and the manosphere. I also broke that story back in December, where the DHS had actually released a report, or one of these NGOs released a report that named individuals in the manosphere and was explicitly censoring them. So this does ultimately lead to censorship. And a lot of it has layers. So if you're seeing the DEI portion, that's one layer. There are people who it's a political agenda, right? And then underneath that, there's more of like a sinister agenda that has to do with collecting data, surveilling, and the big one, which is expanding the definition of terrorism to include a broader segment of society. So whereas, terrorism used to be like ISIS. ISIS is terrorists, right? That's a terrorist group. Now they're expanding it to, well, who else? Like white supremacists, that's a big one. Where white supremacists are? Video games. Therefore, gamers are the target of our counterterrorism operations, right? And so they're expanding it to law-abiding citizens and subjecting them to monitoring, surveillance, censorship. And it's all under the guise of this, counterterrorism initiative. But it doesn't work. And here's what I said about the DEI stuff. It's so silly, right? Because you're watching the backlash and had the opposite response in the community. Because what happens is we expose these companies for pushing out DEI initiatives, and now the actual terrorists who are like infiltrating gaming communities just have more fuel to validate all of their stuff. Now they can just be like, see, there is an attack on, you know what I mean? So it's not actually improving terrorism at all. It's not doing anything to prevent terrorism. And if you just look, has terrorism decreased over the last few years?
Well,
no.
Right. I want to go back to this. So let's talk about this from a gaming perspective. Okay, this is a pretty easy to follow chart, but I want you to kind of walk us through this. Where in here does this come from? Where does gaming come into this chart here. This
Right. So, well, you start over there. Obviously, it's important to note that your tax dollars pay for all of this bullshit. So I think that that's something that's really important for people to kind of keep in mind, because it makes it even more frustrating. Congress funds this DHS Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant. That grant funds these countering violent extremism, or CVE, NGOs with various agendas of their own, right? Some of their agendas are DEI. Some of their agendas are feminism, right? Like the incel stuff. Like they hate the manosphere, and they're abusing their, the grant money to basically push out censorship initiatives. And they collaborate with big tech to do it. That's really important too. And of course, they're making tons of money in doing this. I mean, some of these guys have like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year salary, $300,000 a year salary. And so then they use that money to target a population that the DHS has kind of said, hey, we need to watch out for terrorism in gaming communities or esports. Now, all of a sudden, everybody who was an expert on radical Islam 10 years ago is now an expert in gaming, because these people are professional NGOs, like they're professional countering violent extremism people, and this is how they make their money, right? So they have to be experts on all of this stuff. And so they move from target community to target community. They're training AI to like giant AI machines, built by Google, to scrape data and like look for keywords that are indicators of extremism. That's a really big function of this whole beast, is to basically build this giant censorship machine.
Important question.
I know it sounds
here.
crazy.
And well, no, it sounds crazy, but also it sounds like it. There's obviously a holy shit factor to this, right? But if there's one thing I've learned over my 42 years on Earth, is that I don't know shit, right? I don't know. And the rabbit hole here, it wouldn't shock me, right? So based off of everything that we're seeing here, a show like Side Scrollers, would we be considered a target in a situation like this because we're simply talking about these things?
You're a target because you're a white male who is right of center politically. And so there's what I exposed about the manosphere back in December was the team that was behind this push to censor the manosphere. On the surface, it's like these liberal chicks who are just like, I hate the manosphere. Andrew Tate's so mean. Look at this report about how mean he is, and this is why we're justifying these censorship initiatives. But then if you look behind the team, there's another person there, and it's a man who was running for Congress in New Jersey. He's a career politician who's basically been doing this kind of stuff his whole life. And he went on to Washington Post. His name is Jason Blazakis. And he has told them that his whole goal is, number one, expanding the definition of terrorism to include those pesky January 6th insurrectionists. It's angering that they're not being, charged with terrorism. And so we need to expand the definition of terrorism to include the entire political party, basically, which is terrifying, right? They also want to collaborate with big tech to do it by coercing and incentivizing big tech to assist them and let them roll out these kinds of initiatives. It's the same thing that's happening here with Twitch and Black Girl Gamers. The way I came across Black Girl Gamers is that they hosted a 2021 digital forum for targeting violence prevention by DHS. So they actually hosted this Homeland Security, and this was 2 years after you would have been in there, Gothix, because they do recruit these communities that they see as useful to their end goal. And but it was them and another community called NASEF, which is like the cringiest thing you've ever seen, but it's basically a fake esports organization created by Homeland Security that's recruiting kids for information vehicles, kind of data collection, weird stuff, right? And they're all working together with Twitch as a platform to kind of roll out these initiatives. But the weirdest part was that while part of the focus was supposed to be on how do we recognize and prevent real terrorists from infiltrating gaming communities, which is actually happening, right? They're preying on our kids. We got child predators, we got terrorists. But in reality, it ended up just being this DEI push. Well, you know what? We should just try to push more diversity, less white people in the games, therefore less white supremacy. And it's like this basic building block logic that makes no actual sense, right? Like one of us could just tear apart that argument really fast, but of course they're in their echo chamber. And that's how these kind of initiatives get pushed out with government grant funding. And so they're incentivized not just by like their superiors, but by the federal government to do this kind of stuff.
I want to take a step back and key in on something that she said. Once again, we're going back to Grummz, and there's actually another post that Grummz put out just a few minutes ago, which I do want to discuss. But you mentioned this. I want to make sure I'm clear on this. You mentioned this group here. Is this the group you're talking about? This
Black Girl Gamers?
No. You mentioned. Did you mention Saga?
NASEF.
Is this the group?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, in that tweet I sent you, if you look down the second tweet, the part 2, it talks about NASEF, and I made a little video, but you can go to their TikTok. Oh my God, it is like it's so cringe. It's like someone's trying to abduct your kid and put them in a van for an esports team. It's like really terrifying.
You do have a tweet here. Let's go take a look at this really quick because this is just a mess. Is this what you?
That's it. That's it.
Okay, let's take a look at this.
I mean, I made this video so it doesn't show the full TikTok. It kind of cuts into like what they really are. It's like a video edit.
Okay, let's take a look at this real quick. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Scholastic Esports TikTok. What's Scholastic Esports TikTok? Scholastic Esports TikTok is exactly what it sounds like. It's Scholastic Esports. Esports, but Scholastic in the front. We're here to introduce you to ways you can get experience in esports while you're still in school, in case this is something you want to pursue, getting a job in esports. Okay, but I can't do esports as a job because, like, I'm bronze in Overwatch and League of Legends, so... The truth is, esports is more than playing video games. It's production, it's management, it's marketing like I do. There are so many things you can do if you like video games, and that's what I'm here to share with you on Scholastic Esports TikTok. Scholastic ways you can include esports in your life. Make sure to hit the follow to join Scholastic Esports TikTok so I can update you on tournaments, scholarships, and even more opportunities to pursue your esports dreams.
NASEF, North America Scholastic Esports Federation. Don't have a NASEF club at your school? This is what you're missing out on.
So once you see this chart, pause it on when you see the chart. I want to explain the chart.
Okay.
You can press go. Oh, right there. Yeah, okay. So this is a side-by-side. So the one on the left is the one on the NASEF website, right? Where it seems pretty innocuous. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have a bunch of people organized together to do fun esports. But that's actually from the grant proposal. The one on the right is the Homeland Security grant, where they've basically come up with this diagram on how they're going to permeate the entire system, right? They're going to use content creators, okay? People who are basically paid by counterterrorism agencies and NGOs to put out these countering violent extremism messages. So yes, creators are paid to do this by NGOs that are paid by the government. I'm not going to name names, right? But let's just say, like I've said it before, there are plants. There are people who are strategically placed as podcasters, content creators, and pushed right, to the front of the trending algorithm, because big tech, also Twitch and them, like they're pushing those people to the front. They're giving them the visibility.
Hold on. That's a lot. That's a lot. So number one, do you have names of these plants?
I have names in regard to the DHS Manosphere stuff that I exposed. Yeah.
Okay.
And, it was podcasters that you may or may not have heard of, but they're basically like the Manosphere, but softer. So it's like, it's clickbait, right? It'll be like, you won't believe what this woman did. But then you click on it and it's like, actually, women aren't that bad. And it's like really kind of lame and jarring and weird. And like, no, we don't know that these kind of this called counter messaging. We don't know that counter messaging even works because there's not really any way to like gauge effectiveness of this kind of, campaign. So remember that the goal is to reduce extremism, but there's no real good metrics in order to measure it. So like they basically just fund all these initiatives and a lot of them fail. And it's a waste of our tax money at best. And at worst, it's justified a lot of, unnecessary and expansive government overreach. So yeah, it's pretty rough.
I feel like at any second, my door is going to get kicked down and the FBI is going to come in and raid my house now because we're having this conversation. That's what it feels like.
I do want to say, though, that, like big tech collaborations with federal government law enforcement organizations is important in the sense that we do have like actual terrorist rings. We do have child predators and pedophile networks and these people who are preying on kids, and the tech companies have to have that connection to law enforcement so that they can protect our kids in that sense, right? But they're not doing that. So like at the very same time that they were holding this digital conference with Black girl gamers about DEI, they were ignoring us screaming at them about this massive child predator ring that was affecting 300,000 kids on Twitch. So like how much of our of time and energy that's spent doing these DEI stuff could they spend actually fighting real terrorists and criminals on the platform? They're not actually doing that stuff.
I think
they're doing this other stuff that's just superficial.
I think you just said it. Like you said it earlier, how this eventually leads to censorship. So they need to sell us a solution, and so they need to create or at least continue to exacerbate a current situation. And so if you're saying that, okay, why aren't you guys doing anything about all of this predatory behavior and all of these kids that are online? Well, if they were to take care of that, they wouldn't have any justification to fight extremism or terrorism and offer you a solution to that problem. So like, yeah, this all makes sense. I'm proud of you. This whole whiteboard situation thing. I love it because I do that on my stream. Sometimes people think I'm crazy, but like, this is what it comes down to, is like, it's just censorship and it's social engineering at best.
It is. It's so, it's like I said in my tweet, it's a continuation of the war on terror, which we've long realized that like radical Islam was a way overblown threat. And most people can recognize additionally that it resulted in a lot of stigmatization and overstepping of government authority in Muslim communities. Now, then they went straight from there to, white supremacy. And then from there to incels and gamers are so scary. Well, they have to have a boogeyman to continue to justify their own existence, because the Department of Homeland Security was created as an output of the war on terror, right? Without terrorists, DHS does not exist. So there's really no incentive to eliminate it, because then they wouldn't even be necessary.
So what would, okay, I can hear it right now. People are going to watch this show and they're going to say, she's just a crazy conspiracy theorist. I've
heard that before. It's fine.
With the tinfoil cap on. What do you say to people who say that?
I mean, a conspiracy theorist, the thing is I've been a private investigator and an online investigator researcher for a really long time, right? Without theories, you have nothing. What are you investigating if you don't have a theory, right? And conspiracy is just people working together in a unethical or criminal way. So yeah, I mean, of course it is a conspiracy theory until it's proven to be a conspiracy. And then that's what it is, So a lot of this stuff has already broken. A lot of the stuff I'm saying is objectively factual. You can look it up for yourself. And the DHS was recently FOIA'd and forced to release a lot of these TVTP grant proposals, which was how a lot of people like me started to look into it and be like, wow, this is way deeper and more sinister than we thought. I mean, they're really just putting, the censorship on their sleeves. I mean, it's all there. You can just read it for yourself. So there's not too much conspiracy theorizing about it.
Hey, Blabs, what do you think of all this?
To be completely honest, I have no words. I mean, you kind of always thought about the government always being really, really shady because the government's gonna government. But then you break all this stuff down. It's like, is there nothing that we can just enjoy and have fun with? Does everything have to be tainted by all these schmucks? That's where I'm at.
This is a quick reminder.
Everything. Yeah.
This is a quick reminder, and probably more important than ever, to go over to sidescrollers.locals.com and follow us over there, because we said there will be a day where YouTube will not allow us on their platform, and this is a great example why, because we are going deep, my friends. And listen, I knew we were going deep today, but BX has come in and just
it goes way deeper than that, but I don't think y'all are actually ready for that. I know y'all aren't ready.
Ain't ready.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Give
you some homework and then you get back to me when you're ready.
No. I think this is important. How about this? I think we need to clear the day and have you on one day and just do the rabbit hole. Like literally go through your research. And if it takes 2 hours, that's fine. If it takes 4 hours, that's fine. But I think like this is an important conversation.
Very important.
Yeah.
I mean, like I showed you the video that I made that kind of explained how I got started in this whole rabbit hole. It's all part of the same monster, right? But yeah, you know, I got started on this by just researching a couple of mass shootings, and that's how it brought me here, which I won't go into, but you know, you can watch my pinned tweet on it on Twitter. It's worth watching, I think. I mean, it's mine, but like also.
Wow. Okay. So like, I'm serious. We're gonna. I think that's important to do. I do think that's important to where we set aside a day, maybe in the next couple weeks, because this insanity is going to continue, right? And I think it's important. Maybe do a full whiteboard thing, and here's this, and here's this, and draw.
Like literally me, the Charlie meme with the conspiracy. That's literally me. I have a whole spreadsheet or like a flowchart diagram thing that's like crazy. But yeah, you know, that it's important what you said, right? This is just the current thing. The pendulum has swung in the other way. You know, before it was very heavily minority based that were getting the brunt end of this surveillance machine from counterterrorism, and now it's swung over here this way, and it's going to swing back the other way. And I think that it's important to realize that this is a case of American people, the freedoms of the American people versus a government that's constantly trying to overreach, as opposed to necessarily just being a right versus left thing or something like that. It's always going to swing the other way eventually. So even the leftists who are laughing at you right now, they could be targeted 10 years from now.
They will
So yeah, it always swings the other way.
This is just really quickly, like this is straight out of a communist playbook. I always recommend The Naked Communist. It's a really good read. And I think it's rule number 21 of the communist agenda is gain control of key positions in motion pictures, radio, TV, movies. And that's how you socially engineer people to go in one particular direction, because politics is downstream from culture. When you go to vote, you're voting based off of your pre-existing values. And so they have to curate your values to lean in a particular direction. And the thing is like, yeah, as BX says, this rabbit hole is so deep, but a lot of people aren't ready for it. You can literally show the evidence to their face and they don't care. So all I'll say aside from that is get involved. This is why you can't just let people of a certain ideology dominate a creative space, because culture plays a big role in how we navigate the world, clearly.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yes, I mean, you're 100% correct that controlling the media, controlling what you consume is everything. And remember that the mainstream media like Fox News, CNN are kind of like way behind the times. And now this is the new media, right? And so that's what you're seeing is that control being placed in the creator space, in the gaming space, in the podcaster space, because that's where people's attention are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for one or two things to happen. Either the FBI comes and knocks on my door, or one of these consulting firms comes and offers me a big old bag of money.
Which would you rather have?
I just want to be left alone and play some fucking videos. That's what I'm gonna do. I just give me a GameStop gift card and I'll be all right.
Nobody's gonna trust me. I've been deeper than you have, and nobody's been knocking on my door. They just endlessly suppress me, and then and also I get attacked by random shadowy figures out of nowhere a lot. But
I just want to play Helldivers. That's all. That's
not allowed.
All right, we have one more thing we got to talk about. This is actually breaking right now from Grummz as we live in this just insane, stupid world.
Clown world.
Let's go to Grummz over on X as he has an exclusive. Says Microsoft Xbox mandates changes at studio, hires Sweet Baby Inc., erases white characters. I spoke with two ex-devs at two different studios who say DEI is ruining and altering games and studio culture. Changes happening after Xbox meddling. Now, this is coming off the marketing manager, who once again, we just spoke about that just a moment ago. If you recall, the marketing manager at Xbox, who now has their the global games marketing at Xbox, who now has protected her tweets. This thread here says, I have reasonably confirmed that the devs I spoke to used to work at studios in question, Avalanche and Compulsion. Both studios are listed as Sweet Baby on the Sweet Baby Inc. detected website, right? So there they are right there. He continues down here, and actually I'm going to go to this one because it's an expanded tweet. It says Microsoft made a splash at GDC announcing their product inclusion guidelines for all their studios. Such changes have been reported elsewhere as quote unquote woke, including defeminization of female characters, and cite widely discredited studios as their basis. Microsoft claims they do not mandate these guidelines, but in fact, they made sweeping changes at the studios they publish and partner with. You can see here, there's a couple screenshots here. This is them announcing their their gaming for everyone product inclusion framework. Did y'all see this yesterday? We briefly talked about this. No, they had 10 rules.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I saw it.
Yeah, they had 10 rules associated for every developer that they work with. That was all built around like how the how to more or less fit DEI into their games. And here we are. Let's see. There's. It is important to note, by the way, I'm looking at this for the first time here from Grummz, as it's important to note that the product inclusion framework is not meant to be a checklist or any sort of mandate or any sort of mandate of what makes an inclusive game. Rather, the resources and tools within the framework are designed to be a guide for developers to help them enable them to make an intentional decision to either open or leave a door closed based on the game experience they're trying to create. So like, just keep it in the back of your mind, guys, as you're going along. But it's certainly not a mandate. As we continue here, Microsoft cautions developers to avoid curvy female characters. They wanted to remove.
Discriminated against.
Yeah, you do. Which is rough. So we can take that out here. And then there's this as well. This is mentioned Compulsion Games a second ago. This is the community manager at Compulsion Games, the studio that race swapped their MC after Sweet Baby Inc. involvement, their main character after Sweet Baby involvement. She said, hates gamers and says Asians are, quote, white adjacent. And here she is right here with her tweets. This is once again the community manager. I'm happy and proud to announce that I've joined the amazing team at Compulsion Games as their new community manager. After spending 9+ years in the gaming space as a content creator, I'm excited to begin my journey and make impact on, quote, the other side of the industry, Asian and white, aka white adjacent. Honestly, I hate gamers. Here's your community manager right here, and this is her. So,
oh my God,
she that person made a few appearances in my documentary.
Really?
Yeah, she's a part of Black Girl Gamer. She's one of the community members.
Oh wow!
So like they're all getting little like jobs in the industry. I don't know. This is weird. This is full circle.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So you're familiar with this person?
Yeah.
How so? What is your relationship? What was your relationship?
We were just community members. Like we weren't besties or anything like that. But she had a lot to say about me dragging my name online. And that's really it, man. It's just these people, they just virtue signaling. And it's really, as BX was sort of alluding to, it really comes down to censorship. It's beating out the wrong type of think out of the public discourse and getting people to align with a specific narrative. That's all these people are doing.
Yep. 100%.
This is wild, man. This is wild stuff. The fact that this person who's being highlighted here is also related to.
Yeah. So there's like a compilation in the video, in the documentary, where you can see the onslaught of like hate messages that I was getting. And I think she pops up a few times. Graham, I don't know if you're still in here, but I recall like she pops up a few times with some lovely things to say.
Okay, holy moly.
And yeah, I would say like the censorship, it doesn't just have to do with wrong speak or like people saying things that are not PC. Right. They want to censor entire political parties.
Right.
Like it's very, very political in the sense that like they want to control everything, the political landscape that way too.
Can I say something else? I know we didn't want to get so dark and serious here because BX just said this and it just reminded me. So the whole January 6th thing, I'm good friends with Brandon Strzok, who was arrested for January 6th. They basically labeled him as like a domestic terrorist. But when that happened, if you listened to the media, like all of the mainstream media outlets, they kept saying that this was that these people were violent extremists. They kept emphasizing this term, violent extremists, and they kept pointing their cameras at Republicans, at Trump supporters, at the Capitol. And then that week, I go on Twitter and I'm searching their terms of service, and they included the phrase violent extremism is not allowed on their platform. And all of these other, I think Discord was one of them, Twitter was doing it as well. So when I see a lot of like conservative right-leaning people randomly getting banned from Twitch for no rhyme or reason, I would argue that it's probably because they fall into the classification of violent extremists, which is you're saying things that we don't like.
Yes, and that's coming straight from this government apparatus. There's something called PERIL, the Polarization and Extremism Research and Innovation Lab from American University, which is in DC. They have this database called STRIDE, where they have all of these incidents of violent extremism or terrorism, and they make these charts that show what the trends are doing, right? And it's been primarily focused on foreign terror organizations, rightly so. That's what we think of as terrorism, right? But after January 6th, they announced that they had added over 900 incidents, and that the majority of them were from January 6th, which they knew would skew that database to show that the trend was going towards violent extremism on the right wing, and they would call it Trump extremism. That's actually here in this government-funded database, right? And they're using this kind of research and this data to push out these initiatives and decide who to focus on. So right now they're focusing on gamers. The election's coming up, they're trying to make that turn towards people who support a specific politician, which is really scary. Regardless of what political side you're on, it's scary that they're trying to basically classify you as a terrorist simply for supporting a political candidate.
Craig, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm just, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. And I don't really know how to follow up on all this, just to see the dots that have been connected today and the amount of the rabbit hole associated with all this. I mean, I don't think anybody, it just goes back to like, why can't we just play video games, right? And it seems like such a simple premise, right? It's such a simple
we can
premise.
play video games, but there is a giant elephant in the room.
Well, and the elephant just got a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. Right, it just got considerably larger. It's funny.
Yeah.
Guts
if you guys want the database, here it is. Just to see kind of where you stand, in the database that the government maintains.
So this is okay. So what we're going to look at here is
the one that says start. Yeah, that's the database.
Okay, so this one right here.
That's the PERIL. That's the one that's the organization that creates the database.
Okay. So
if you click on that chart, and go to the US, you can see kind of what there's like a heat map. There's another database. I have to go find it though, but there is actually like a one where you can like, tweak the categories and look at the trends and, see what the categories are, because the McCain Institute, when they listed the manosphere as one of the top 4 terror threats, which is so silly, like it was literally ISIS, white supremacy, anti-government extremism, and the manosphere. Those were the top 4 terror threats. It's so silly. It's laughable, right? And this all came from the McCain Institute. The anti-government extremists, the definition they were using was like, someone who doesn't really like the government and thinks that they overstep their authority. I'm like, what the hell? Like, even just disagreeing with you about this definition makes me a terrorist. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like when you think it's pretty sinister. Like it goes way beyond just like DEI and, this kind of, this is just one small portion of a much bigger beast.
It's just crazy to think about how much, how deep this goes. And I'm shocked by like what we're learning. Like the dots of being approached here and connected. The fact that like why would it? I just keep going back to like,
Don't
why?
drive yourself crazy. If I can
I'm
give you
just
that
so
advice.
happy it's getting attention now. Like, I feel like I was screaming about that. I was like, why does the DHS have fake esports teams that are recruiting on Twitch? I was like, what is this dystopian madness? But like, so now that it's kind of coming out in a different way, but that's good. I hope that this leads people to kind of see the rest of the story and, go look through my tweets and, see for yourself. There's a lot of evidence linked. You don't have to just, trust what I'm rambling about here, but go look for yourself. It's all out there.
Right. This is just nuts. Absolutely nuts. I don't know what to say outside of like, hey, let's do this again sometime and really go down the rabbit hole. And oh my God.
He needs a drink. He needs
to
relax,
afternoon,
sandwich.
little afternoon.
I got business calls to make this afternoon. I just want to take a nap. That's all I want to do. I want to take a nap.
It's exhausting.
This is exhausting.
It's my life.
Labs was like, we've been talking a lot about this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like, and she's like, this is exhausting. I agree. It's exhausting, but I feel like we're doing some important stuff. And like the fact that like, I'm pretty in tune with the video game space. I feel like I have a pretty good idea as to what's happening, but to see this go so deep is really just absolutely shocking. And I don't know like how deep